So, Clue is my favorite movie of all time. Clue is at number one. If you ask 40 people that I know, any 40 people, and ask them what are Michael's top 5 favorite films, numbers 2 through 5 may be different on everyone's list, but at number one would be Clue. So when I saw the advertisement for this documentary, I kind of had to get involved. Like, I want to be part of this because this is my favorite movie. I have a very special, emotional, and sentimental bond with this film. Now, I want to go back to when I was a child. I was really scared that night. Like, my mother wasn't there. These two people I know who they are. I know them from living with them, but they're not my family. They're not my friends. And the only thing I can remember, the only thing I can think of was throughout this entire week on, I know the channel, but I don't want to say it because I don't know if there's a licensing thing. But I know this channel has been advertising this movie, and the only thing I remember was funny movie, 3 endings, funny movie, 3 endings, funny movie, 3 endings. So I tune into the channel and I start watching this film. And at that point I was a little too young to understand the sophisticated humor. I didn't get the wit or the one-liners, but I understood slapstick comedy. So I was enjoying it, and I remember it had 3 endings. I don't remember what the endings were, I just remember it had 3 endings because of all the advertisement. For the next 10 years, I searched for this movie because I remember this movie made me laugh and it made me feel good. So I kind of wanted to have that movie in my life. And this was pre-internet, so there was really no search engines. I couldn't just go online and be, movie with 3 endings. What is it? So fast forward to now my sophomore year, or the summer before my sophomore year in high school. We had just moved in with my aunt's family. So it's my aunt, her husband, my grandfather, and my aunt's 4 younger children. And my grandfather was getting up there in age, so he really couldn't watch the kids anymore. So the responsibility of taking care of them fell upon me that summer. And it was a big change for me because I kind of had left the neighborhood I grew up in. And I didn't know anyone, I didn't know any of my neighbors. That whole new kid, new town thing. And now I'm kind of responsible for these 4 little kids. I have to change diapers and things of that nature. That's how a nuclear family in our culture works. Is kind of, it takes a village to raise a child mentality. So the one thing that I did have that helped me take care of these kids was video games. But there was one game in particular we used to play a lot. Clue. They literally made a video game version of the board game of Clue. There was nothing special to it. There was no special graphics, no animations. It literally was, here's the board game, there's your TV screen, pop. That's it. That's literally all it was. But since you're playing in a video game format, you can't look at your cards because then everyone can see what cards you have. So we all had our little pencils and little pads, and we would keep notes, and we would keep the clues, and that way we can solve the crime at the end. And we loved it. We loved playing that game. Obviously, I won more than they did, but once in a while, the little kids would get a victory. They would get a lucky guess. They're not that smart. They would just get a lucky guess. And that game brought me a sense of comfort. That game brought me a sense of closeness with my little cousins now. And towards the end of the summer, I'm sitting on the couch going through the channel guide, and I see Clue on one of the movie channels. And I had to think, like, that can't be based on the board game. Like, that can't be it, So I turned to the channel, and the first thing I see is Martin Mull. Martin Mull I knew from Fernwood Tonight. Remember, I grew up watching a lot of syndication of older TV shows. And so there's Martin Mull from Fernwood Tonight. Mr. Mom, which I loved that movie, used to watch constantly. And at that point, Martin Mull was on Roseanne. So I know Martin Mull from that. And not only that, he's playing Colonel Mustard, which is my character. That's the character I always chose. And then I see Christopher Lloyd, who I recognize as Jim from Taxi, Doc Brown from Back to the Future, which was one of my favorite trilogies, and Uncle Fester. And not to mention Suburban Commando. And then I see Michael McKean, who I know from This Is Spinal Tap and Airheads, movies I had just seen for the first time. And then, of course, I recognize him as Lenny from Laverne and Shirley. And then I see Madeline Kahn, who I knew from all the Mel Brooks films. I used to watch all the Mel Brooks films growing up. Once again, I didn't understand the adult humor to him, but I did get a lot of the slapstick. And then I hear that voice that was my childhood, that voice that was the one above all. In comics, when it comes to the most powerful being, the one above all is the most powerful being in, like, I think, Marvel Comics. Well, when it comes to my childhood, the one above all is Tim Curry. There is no one greater than Tim Curry. And it's not just the acting. I didn't watch the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and I do remember him from Home Alone, but it's his voice. Because that voice has been part of my childhood. That's been like the villain in all of my favorite shows. He was the villain in Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad, which starred like Matt Lawrence or something. And he was Captain Hook from Peter Pan and the Pirates, which I loved. But most importantly to me, that was the voice of Skullmaster from Mighty Max. And Mighty Max was one of, if not my favorite cartoon in the 90s. And I used to watch Mighty Max every morning right before school. And wow, so my childhood is right there on this screen, acting out this board game that I have just fallen in love with. But then Yvette comes on the screen and I start getting this sense of familiarity. Like, okay, I'm starting to recognize this film. Like, I couldn't put two and two together just yet. But the wheels started turning. I recognized Yvette, and I recognized all the cleavage jokes, and I start recognizing the tone of the film, the cinematography of the film. I start recognizing the set pieces, not so much the actors, but the extra stuff there. And then the first ending, and then the second ending, then the third ending, and it hit. That's it. Wow! Like, holy crap! Wow. So for the past 10 years, I've been looking for this film. Like, wow. And it once again, it came to me when I was a scared 6-year-old, and now when I'm 16 and a little nervous and apprehensive because everything is so new, and now I have all these responsibilities now that I didn't have before, and I don't know anyone, I'm kind of like alone. This movie has come back to me again. And I quickly recorded it when it came back on TV, I think a few days later, because that's how HBO works. And that movie has never left my side since. And for the past 22 years, at least once or twice a month, I watch this film. I know this movie backwards and forwards. I can act out the entire movie by myself based on pure memory. And to say I'm a little obsessed with Clue is an understatement. Like I said, that is my number one movie. The other four may change, but number one will always and forever be the movie Clue. It was there for me when I needed it the most. It sounds kind of cheesy, but that's what this movie is. It's hilarious. The performances are amazing. I love the look of the film, the cinematography. The humor is just sharp. The wit is funny. It's an amazing blend of slapstick and dark comedy. But most importantly to me, it made me feel safe when I really needed something to make me feel safe. And quite honestly, that is why I love the movie Clue.